All right. Trucks at Kentucky. Normal setup for 1.5 miles. Again, steering ratio, steering offset. You can do that based on your comfort. None of that really matters too much. Brake bias, we're only going to be doing little tiny taps. So anything under default should be fine. Don't worry too much about the brake bias. Just basically little tiny taps to set us into 3. Gonna be first lap, hot lap here. Run to the outside's a little sketchy up here. Do just a tiny tap to set me and then I get back on the throttle. Just want to keep those rear tires under me. That's gonna pay off. You don't want to have your rear tires sliding as you're getting up to speed. All right. Full throttle, super speedway corner. Just keep her on the yellow line. Try to keep her down there for quite a while. You don't want to slide up too early. You lose a little bit of time like that. And then turning into 3, get that big arc in, tiny tap, and then get right back on the throttle, right down on the yellow. It's going to feel like you don't have enough room, but it's Kentucky. We have enough room. All right.
New fast flat for you.
You'll notice the difference on entering 3 because it doesn't feel like you should be braking into there, but it just helps. It's not that it's required, it's that it just helps. Because the car is a little bit understeery on the entrance, and then it'll just slide for the rest of the corner. This is just the run up. Don't a little tiny tap, and then I'm just trying to keep the car under me, and then just pushing for speed as much as possible. A little cut of the apron here. And then I don't really even want to go over 1 and 2. Like, what is there to go over? I'm full throttling, I'm staying towards the bottom of the groove, and I'm just wheeling the car onto the yellow, and I keep it down there for quite a bit. Like, I don't want to slide up too early. Okay, this is the money corner. This is basically where everything is at. So I get the car pointed around this ZMAX sign. Not that I actually use it, that's just what I noticed just now. And then I'm pointed at the yellow. As I get off the throttle, I'm going to try to get off the throttle about halfway down the track. And I'm going to do a really quick brake tap and then immediately back to the throttle because this car tends to slide and understeer a bit under gas. It'll feel loose, right? It'll feel like, oh man, my car isn't hooking up, but there's just no change of direction going on sometimes off the throttle. So I tend to use the brake tap to kind of overcompensate that line a little bit. You see I might be pointing a little bit too much at the apron here, but when I get back on the throttle, like it just basically lands me right at the yellow. And once you make the yellow at Kentucky, if you make the yellow like a third of the way through the corner or later, like you're just able to exit the corner. Like you don't even need to worry about it. Look at the shape up here of this track. If you all this turn, like the entry is like half the turn, which sounds really stupid to say, but there's no like center of the corner. The angle of the corner is determined by your entry. So as long as you get your entry correct and you get all the way down there and your car's still turning, just force the throttle. Let the car come up. It'll look wrong at first, but then you'll realize Kentucky's a wide track. The earlier you can get on the throttle, faster your lap time's going to be. In fact, the fact that I didn't track all the way up to the wall here tells me I could have throttled even earlier, which is kind of insane for Kentucky. But I guess it is nighttime or dusk weather. Long run here. What I like to talk about Kentucky and places like Texas, New Texas. It's like a 1-turn lap, and the other set of corners is basically just a test to see how good you did saving tires on the other corner. So 3 and 4 is our tire saving corner. Basically just a little tiny brake tap to set the car. I'm not going to be too much on the throttle sliding it up the track anymore. Might be a little bit slower, but I want it to feel less like a slide and more like I'm just driving up a hill. And then 1 and 2. You won't full throttle for the entirety. You'll do a little lift on entry, and we'll do that in a couple laps. But it definitely isn't the most intensive corner. So wide arc, early turn. The anti-arc sometimes works at Kentucky, but these trucks I don't feel like have enough lateral grip to for that to be really helpful in my opinion. Some people might. I'll show you that line next time around. So you see we're less than 2/10 off my best lap, even though I'm not pushing too hard. Going into here, you can just do a little lift going into the corner just to get the car to help settle. If you find that you're fighting the car to trying to get it back to the bottom, then you might need to have a little bit more off throttle time. We're going to try a little anti-arc into here, really shallow entry, get on the brakes, have it land, and then you drive up. This is like ultimate tire saving. It might look a little weird, but you can tell that it's quite a bit slower on the early parts of the run. So I wouldn't recommend this for restarts. You just get run over. It was like 2/10. Little lift, and then back on the throttle. Super worn tires, you might have to brake tap too, but in general, you just need this to feel like a super speedway corner after entry. Shallower entry, we're gonna get the car to land on the bottom, and then we're just gonna throttle straight up. Notice how I'm not forcing anything with the steering wheel. You don't want to have to add steering wheel after you get on the throttle. As you get later into the run too, wider arc into 1 will help you land the car when that right front tire stops giving you as much grip. A little shallower of an entry here. See, once I make that corner, it feels like I'm just sliding up the track, but in reality, I mean, it's kind of just driving straight. You just need to make that entry. And the problem is with Kentucky, sometimes people take the entry too late, and then the corner feels like a corner. But as long as you do all your turn really early in 3, then it's just an extended straightaway. Like, let me see how early I can throttle this up by taking kind of an earlier entry. Early entry, and we're just gonna throttle up from here. And now you're like, wow, you're going in the wall. No. And I didn't even have to turn my wheel more to do that. Isn't that wild? So don't underestimate how much room you have on the exit of 4 at Kentucky. Use that to your advantage. Take a line so that you don't have to use up as much tire. All that good stuff. We'll do one more lap here. I'll show you kind of, like later in the run, you might need more grip, so you might need to widen it out, right? So widen it out, a little brake down to the bottom. And then because of that, you give yourself more of an angle to come up. So you see how much even less steering wheel I'm holding there? Like it's barely any. Like I hold just as much steering wheel on the tri oval almost. But we should see that this track feels like it might be a little bit of a right front burner. But if you add heat to the right rear too much, then you can feel the effects of that in 1 and 2 especially. But yeah, pretty even for now, even on the temps too. So can't ask for more than that. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you all on the track.